You're on the Six Screens Telenetwork, earning the reputation of giving all the right ingredients, uninhibited, in exposing the hard, cold facts about the Watchtower Society.
Well, hello everyone, and welcome in once again to a rockin' awesome night here at the Six Screens up in Boston. Well, my name is Rick Farron. I'm coming to you live on YouTube and a number of Facebook channels, and we are so happy to see our little network growing exponentially. We're getting more and more people coming in and watching our YouTube and Facebook videos, and the reason why they're doing it, friends, is because the sheer number of people leaving the Watchtower is astronomical. More and more people, they are hemorrhaging. And more people are coming in. They want to know what's going on behind the curtains of the Watchtower. Well, once again, my name's Rick Farron, and I'm coming to you from the apostate capital of the world, right up here in Boston, Massachusetts, otherwise known as the hub of the universe. But, I'll tell you what, I get all excited on a Saturday. I really do. I have people writing me. They get excited too. They love to come in. They love to hear what the callers have to say. We never know who's going to be calling in to the Six Screens. It's an amazing thing. It's a one-of-a-kind platform, and we're so glad to have. Really, we were the first ones, not braggadocious here, but we were the first ones really to start live streaming. We did that before YouTube and Facebook ever even thought of it. We were live streaming 12 years ago. So it's just an amazing thing. And now it's so easy. And there's so many people now live streaming. So many people now putting uploads to YouTube and Facebook. I think it's wonderful. We were just talking to Barbara Anderson about that on her program. It is making a difference. All of you folks out there, keep up the good work. All of you YouTubers, podcasters, all of you people who write on Reddit and JWN, keep up the good work, because I want to tell you something. We have a real army, if you would, of apostates, and we're all making a difference. Everyone making a difference. I encourage everyone, if you have the ability and the time to do it, make a video, expose the Watchtower. The more the merrier. Well, there's a lot going on in the Watchtower. But before we get into the news, I'm just going to very quickly, I don't want to sound redundant to beat a dead horse here, but we've got a couple of things that I want to quickly announce, and then we'll move it out of the way. But the convention, I know I mention every week, the tickets are being printed up right now to be mailed out to you. You'll get them via email. They'll have numbers on them. We have a convention, if you haven't heard, an ex-Jehovah's Witness convention. It's going to be August 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. Now, not this year, not 2024, but 2025. We're 17 months away, I believe it is now, 17 months away. So don't go thinking, well, it's this August. It's not. So you have plenty of time to save some money up. The tickets are free, by the way. The tickets are free. If you book ahead of time through an airline, it's a lot less expensive than booking a few days early, if it's a few days out. So we encourage you to save a few dollars and come up to Boston. Come up to Boston for your vacation. There's a lot to see up here. This is not, a lot of people, they don't even know where New England is. But New England's a beautiful part of the country. So it's nice here in the summer. It's not overly hot. You'll find it very, very historical. You'll see things here you don't see in other states. So I believe it'd be worth your while to pack the kids in the car, bring them up here, and go on vacation and come and be at the convention. Now, the convention's theme is still alive in 2025, and that's our theme. And boy, we are going to have a great time. It's going to be 1st, 2nd, 3rd. That's Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. We will have our convention. We will have some really good things. On Friday, we'll have a meet and greet. We'll talk to all the people, let people who want to speak up and talk about their experiences in the Watchtower. And we'll have testimonies all day Saturday. And, of course, Saturday night, we'll have keynote speakers. And we're going to have a YouTube video awards. Yeah, so all of those people that are making a difference, we're going to have a contest here. of those who have really made a difference and be the first annual YouTube, ex-Jehovah's Witness YouTube Video Awards, and all the videos that have made a real big difference exposing the Watchtower. So we're putting this all together now, but if you'd like to come to the convention, get your tickets now. Write me now. I know a lot of people have already written me. This week, perhaps you'll start seeing your tickets. In the next couple of weeks, you'll start seeing them coming to the email that you send me, and they'll be numbered. And there's only room for 500 people. So I'm not sure. I've already got over 200 people that have signed up. So if you'd like to get tickets, write me at jwworldnews@gmail.com, and I'll get you the tickets out. And then you can hold on to them and even take a picture of them. So if you do come to the convention, you can show the people, hey, I got a ticket, and you'll get into the main auditorium. If you don't get in the main auditorium and it's over 500 people, you'll still be able to come, but it's just that you won't be able to get into the main auditorium. But we'll have some seating around the perimeters of the auditorium, and we'll also be live streaming the whole event. Everything will be live streamed, so we're looking forward to that. All right, so that's the convention. So just write me if you have any questions about it. And also, I wanted to talk about the duck. Well, you see the duck bee. Well, here he is up here. See him up here? Oh, yeah. People love the duck. I'll tell you, it's becoming a part of our program. Now, if you hear this sound, if you hear that sound, that's our duck call. That means that someone who called into the program tonight, that means someone who called in said the secret word. We have a number of words here tonight. We have 4 or 5 words that if you say it during the call-in session, when you call in and you say a secret word, you might hear that sound and you win a gift tonight. Now, tonight we have the PDF version of the 1936, a 34 yearbook, of Jehovah's Witnesses, a very controversial yearbook. We've taken out the most important sections of it, and we have it in PDF form. You'll win that tonight. We may have some other prizes as well. But if you say the secret word, that's great. At the end of the program, if no one said the secret words, or if they did, we'll talk about that, and we'll also give you some clues to what the secret words were, so you'll be able to win a prize. So, okay, let's stop with that. So that's it, the duck and the convention. And that's all I want to bring up tonight. But hey, I'm really feeling good. And I know I say this every Saturday night. I hope you're feeling good. I hope things are going well for you where you are. Now, I wanted to start off tonight saying the Watchtower, friends, you know it. I don't have to tell you. The Watchtower is imploding. The Watchtower is really not the Watchtower or the Jehovah's Witnesses that I grew up in. Do you really think that this is the religion of your childhood? Now, honestly, is this the same religion that your parents and grandparents were part of? I have to say, no way it's the same religion. As someone who grew up in this religion, as I did, came in as a young person, probably 3 or 4 years old. My mother was one of Jehovah's Witnesses. My father wasn't, but she raised me as a witness young man. I was the 3rd generation Jehovah's Witness. And 14 years ago, Satan kicked me out of his organization. And boy, I'm really glad for that. Seriously, I didn't want to be part of it anymore. But I'm going to tell you right now, for the record, the hemorrhage has begun in the Watchtower organization. There's no question about that. The Watchtower right now is on life support. There's nowhere they can go. They are being criticized all over the world, and not just by former Jehovah's Witnesses. They're being criticized by governments, numerous governments, Norway, Belgium, Japan, Sweden, Canada, United Kingdom. It is numerous. In fact, I counted a dozen countries right now that are coming down hard on the Watchtower. So, yep, the hemorrhage has begun. Did you want to say something? 513, I believe that is our good friend. Yes, go ahead. I think that's King of Dots.
Thank you so much, Rick. Soon to be Prince of the Dots. The reason I'm calling is because today, apparently, one of the Supreme Court justices, well, they've only got one Supreme Court justice. The rest are actually associate justices. Anyway, Brett Kavanaugh came out and said in an interview, let me quote it here directly, consistency builds respect. And he said that was the objective of the U.S. Supreme Court. Now, obviously, I apply that to Watchtower. Their inconsistency has caused all their problems. That's why people no longer respect them. It's pretty simple. Even a worldly person, well, he's Catholic. I used to be Catholic, so I understand where he's coming from. It's just common sense. And so when we have to put up a Watchtower saying, you're just not hitching on to the celestial chariot, that's bullshit, because they are causing all their problems. And of course, right now, as we see, and as the last guy with the last show, very good. I was jealous of how well he articulated, but obviously they're blaming the sheep. That's their last thing they can do. Like Biden's blaming all of us. Why are we griping about the high prices? You got money to spend, So I don't want to blither on and dither, but a Supreme Court justice said that today. Let me repeat it again. Consistency builds respect. So there's no reason to even respect Watchtower, and they better stop blaming us. Thank you very much, Rick, for that.
Well, you're very well. Always good to hear from the King of Dots. It's an amazing, you're an amazing man, King of Dots. Don't you ever change. We love to.
How do you know I'm a man? I mean, who told you?
Well, I could just tell by the depth of your voice. You have a very nice voice.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, thank you so much, Sam.
You're very welcome. Well, I don't know if you guys were following it or not. Yes, did you want to say something? Go ahead, you're on with us. I think that's Anne-Marie.
Rick, thank you so much for your patience. I just wanted to comment that a PMO teenager today posted that he had attended the first day of the circuit assembly, and he said there were barely 500 people there, and that they had cordoned off 2/3 of the auditorium, and it still looked very sparse, and that the lack of attendance was even mentioned by the circuit overseer in his closing prayer. But he did also say that the circuit overseer advised those in attendance to prove the truth to themselves by going to local libraries and looking up the references that the Watchtower organization has made. And we all know that there's nothing like hard copy evidence to help someone wake up. Thank you so much, Rick.
Well, thank you, Anne-Marie. Always good to hear from you as well. And thank you for that tidbit of information. We love to hear that. One thing we love here at the Six Screens is we love to see the Jehovah's Witness organization tanking. Don't you? I mean, really. I have been protesting at conventions and memorial, and we are seeing more and more Kingdom Halls being closed down. We're seeing people not attending the conventions and assemblies. That is not the sign of a growing organization. You guys know it, and I know it. The Watchtower is constantly trying to buffalo us with that. But, I came across something this week that really got me thinking a lot. And I've been talking on here the last month or so about the Jehovah's Witnesses perhaps running out of money. Yeah, the Watchtower organization, maybe, folks, just maybe, they're really starting to feel the financial effects of all of these lawsuits. Now, the Boy Scouts of America. Now, let me tell you a little bit about the Boy Scouts. It's no longer going to be known as the Boy Scouts. They're going to be known as Scouts America. Now, you say, Rick, well, what does that have to do with the Watchtower? Well, I'm here to hear Watchtower News. Well, I'm going to tell you the reason why I even bring this up. Let me just read this to you. The Boy Scouts of America filed for bankruptcy in 2020 after facing over 82,000 lawsuits from people who were sexually assaulted by Scout leaders as children. The organization had spent more than $150 million settling hundreds of abuse lawsuits between 2017 and 2019. In 2022, the Boy Scouts of America reached a settlement that would pay abuse victims between $3,500 and $2.7 million. So, friends, I'm looking at news articles like this. I'm saying, well, does this ring a bell? Does this get my rocking chair rocking? Well, you better believe it does, because I'm thinking here, we have an organization, the Watchtower. I mean, it's a pimple on a rhino's back when it comes to Catholicism and the Baptists, for example. But nonetheless, they claim to have not close to 9 million people. So I don't know how many members the Boy Scouts had, but let's just stop and think about it. They had to go bankrupt from giving out so much money in these lawsuits. So it got me thinking, is the Watchtower following suit? How long can they really keep this up? How long, and we've been talking about this, can the Watchtower really keep paying money out before they go broke? So that's why I'm saying here tonight, friends, this is not the same organization. They're making a lot of changes, I'm sure, because of the money problems. So I just wanted to bring that online tonight. But I want to tell you, since I've been out 14 years, and I am so glad, as I said earlier, that Satan kicked me out of his organization. But, more and more people are finding out how evil, how deceitful, how corrupt the Watchtower organization is. And all they have to do is go online. It's only a mouse click away. And many people saw back in 2017, the Australia Royal Commission. Many people saw all the sexual abuse charges that the Watchtower had brought upon them. The Watchtower is really now being looked at by people. On one of our programs last Saturday night, I don't know if you're listening in, but on Watchtower Awakening After the Watchtower program with Eric, 2 people called in. They were former Mormons. So they came into the program and they were so involved with, wow, this is really making sense to me. The same thing happened to us as Mormons. So we have not just the Jehovah's Witnesses, but all of these cults, all of these aberrant, strange organizations are crumbling. Why are they crumbling? Well, because one thing is they try to micromanage all of your personal life. Yeah, you can't get away with that today. You can't micromanage personal life, actually even involved in what the sex lives of their members are all about. You can't do that and get away with it. The Watchtower, as well as these other strange groups, is now being exposed, and people are coming to grips with it now. All of these changes, we have seen so many changes that have happened. Well, we know recently the changes with the beards. Sisters are now allowed to wear pants. You no longer have to turn in field service time. And the brothers don't have to wear a tie or a jacket when they go to the meeting anymore. So, this is really something that's kind of irking, making many Jehovah's Witnesses feel uncomfortable. And also we know, even though I don't think much has changed as far as disfellowshipping is concerned, but we do know that you can now at least say a greeting to a disfellowship person. Did you know that? Yeah, you can now say a greeting to a disfellowship person, and they have more leniency, it seems to be, to a disfellowshipping minor children. They're not really so eager to, kick a young kid out on the basis of him not wanting to be a Jehovah's Witness. And that all started really because of Norway. Norway came down hard on the witnesses. They lost a lot of money. Charitable money that was given to them by Norway is no longer being given to them because of the treatment of children. But all of this, these changes, let's go with that. All of the changes that we're seeing, this is irreversible proof that this organization, the Jehovah's Witnesses, this is not the truth. That this is irreversible proof that it's not the truth. Is this really God's organization? Of course not. It's like any other cult out there. Nothing more than trying to put their opinions, the opinions of the hierarchy, and trying to put themselves in divine status, making them above and beyond the rank and file. That's exactly what cults do. I am thoroughly convinced, and I'm sure you guys are too, that this organization, the Jehovah's Witness organization, i.e. Watchtower, this is not the truth. I know you guys are listening in, And maybe some people for the very first time are listening in and they're saying, wow, I agree with, I agree with Rick. I really do. So I'm thinking here, if you were, say you were a missionary, a circuit overseer, a district overseer, an elder, a ministerial servant, or anyone who died 15 years ago and you were resurrected today, you would be in shock. You wouldn't even recognize this religion anymore. It's changed so much. I think that most of you folks would agree with me on that. This is not the same religion. I can remember, and I know most of you guys listening to the program can too, how the Watchtower was constantly, back in the 1980s, the 90s, even the early 2000s up until about now, but they were constantly railing, that is, really coming against televangelists, saying how bad it is and how ungodly it is. Now they are just like them. I would call the Watchtower organization a televangelist organization with their JW broadcasting. I mean, come on. This is something that, don't you think that would be enough to knock a person out of the so-called truth? Do you remember when they would rail against or tell you how bad the televangelists are? And we're not like them. Oh, no. We're different than them. And now they're the same. They would not get on they said they would not get on a program like this, a TV program, and beg for money. That's what they would say about this. But now they're doing the same thing. They are begging for money all over the place on JW Broadcasting. Well, back in the 1980s, the 1990s, it was much different being one of Jehovah's Witnesses. We just had a man on. In fact, I don't know if you saw the program before us, but we had a program, Barbara Anderson. She's a Watchtower whistleblower, but she had a program before us. In Barbara Anderson's program, he had a man named Tommy, and he was a pioneer and a former elder. And during the course of the interview that she had, Tommy broke up a number of times, actually sobbing, teary eyes. He really loved the Watchtower. At one time, he really felt so good being part of it. He was an elder, and it made him feel good. It made him feel like a responsible person. Well, that's how it used to be back in the 80s and 90s. And like I say, it was much different. But, we all had this feeling of camaraderie. Even myself, I didn't mind being a witness. I thought it was kind of like an elite thing. Wow, we're different in the world. Well, we're not any different anymore. We're not any different anymore. So, I have to say that it's changing. Back then, I'm sounding like a dinosaur, and I know there's a lot of young ones listening in. Maybe they can't relate to it. But, if you go back to the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, you couldn't even tell who the president or the vice president or even a governing body member was. Did you know that? I couldn't. In fact, even to this day, now they probably know the governing body and some of the officials because they see them on JW Broadcasting. But, I know that this hasn't helped them either. When the governing body and the officials of the Watchtower were somewhat held in a mystique, there was somewhat of a mystery around them that, he really didn't consider it to be so phony. But now that we see these guys up front and in your face, what a bunch of phony balonies these guys are. And back in the 1960s, 70s, 80s, 90s, even the early 2000s, we all did more research and study. Did you study? Did you read those books? The Babylon Great Book, The Finished Mystery? My goodness gracious, you'd have to read it over and over again to even understand anything they're saying. But we did our research. We did our study back then, but everything now seems to be dumbed down somewhat. So I do see we have 540. I believe that's Pixie. Did you want to say something, Pixie?
Yeah. Good to hear your paragraphs. I think I could go toe to toe on the Book of Revelation with anybody on TV. if you haven't seen XJW Caleb, he's got the clip of the Jesus movie that's at the Witness Convention, and I got a little chuckle out of it. They have a very fine-looking brother there playing Jesus with a beautiful beard, but the thing is, he's got an Elvis pompadour.
I haven't seen the video, but by Elvis Pompadour, you mean his hair is like pushed up on the front?
Oh, he's a fine-looking man. He's got a beautiful beard and a beautiful haircut. The thing is, and I'm an Elvis fan, sure, but the thing is, that was not a haircut in the first century. So it's like a big history no-no, and I don't know if Jesus is going to have that pompadour all the way through their show or what. And once they read the Bible, if they do read the 4 Gospels, they'll find 4 different reporters with 4 different accounts. So I don't know how that's working for them. But I just wanted to let everybody know that there are clips of the Jesus movie on XJW Caleb, and I'm sure that other people will have it too.
Well, I know, Pixie, you've been in the media, and, if you're going to produce the film or this video, the Jesus movie, it seems like, I haven't seen it, so if you say there's a pompadour, I believe you. No, you're right. Jesus never had a pompadour hairdo like that. But, but you would.
So enjoy. I got a smile out of it.
Yeah. Well, you would. I'll have to check that out, really. But you'll have to. But that is not. Why spend? Movies. Did you see the Passion of the Christ with Mel Gibson? He produced
I've seen
it.
almost every Jesus movie. I also saw the one that's not biblical, but Scorsese did one. I've seen all of them. It's a thing I do. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that Passion of the Christ. Even though they had like a Catholic overtone, but boy, it was. You'll never get that out of your head. I still can't believe how much. The cinema,
very realistic, very violent.
The cinematography.
And at the end, Jim Caviezel got struck by lightning. The lightning striking the column at the end was not an effect.
Yeah, I wonder how the Watchtower thinks they can compete against something like that. Boy,
they can't. They can't.
No, the first thing you do is you get your hairdos correct. You get your hairdos.
That's right.
Yeah, good. Thank you, Pixie. Thank you. So there you have it. We are seeing tremendous changes. Let's go to 714. 714, you're on with us. Go ahead.
Hi, Rick. It's Nadine.
Hi, Nadine.
Hi. I just wanted to let you know I sent you that preview of the drama. I emailed it to you today, and I also texted it to you.
Oh, very good.
This
I
morning.
didn't get a chance to look into it this afternoon, but thank you, Nadine.
Yeah.
I'll take it. So is that the Jesus drama video?
Yes, it's the preview. It's right off of jw.org. And anyways, they're just really showing Jesus, and they show Jesus being born, and he's a baby. And I've never seen anything like that, because do you remember when they would say that we don't think of Jesus as a baby, but we think of him as a grown man only?
I do remember them saying that, yes.
Yeah, and so now they're depicting him as this newborn baby, the Savior. And anyway, so I sent you that preview. I sent that to you this morning.
Well,
it's very good.
Well, thank you very much.
Mm-hmm.
I'll check that out. And you got your books are coming on your way too. You sent me the address, and like I say, you got 3 nice books coming, so they're on the way. You'll get them in the next week or 2. Okay.
Okay.
Good.
Well, thank you. And I also wanted to tell you that I don't know if you saw the movie, but it came out, I think, this last Christmas. It's called Journey to Bethlehem, and Antonio Banderas is in it. And I swear, I think that whoever made that drama about Jesus copied that movie, because it was all about Jesus and, Mary and Joseph and Jesus being born, and that he was, the king, and so I swear they took that whole thing from the Journey from Bethlehem, that movie.
Wow.
That came out.
Wow, that's well,
Yeah.
you're an observant woman. Well, thank you, Nadine. Thank you for sharing that with
Okay.
us. Appreciate it.
All right.
All
Okay.
right,
Bye-bye.
thank you. Let's go to Saskatchewan, Canada. It looks like 306. Go ahead, 306. You're on with us. Go ahead.
Hello, Rick.
Hello, how are you?
I'm doing good. It's Russell from Saskatchewan.
Well, Russell,
And,
always good to hear
yeah.
from you calling in from Canada. Yes.
Yeah, I'm really enjoying all the shows you had tonight. Really good. I really enjoyed the Barbara Anderson. So, you know, I got to thinking last week. I was watching some of these reels on Facebook, and you know, I could feel, and on YouTube as well. I could feel these guys' spirituality. You know, by the way they talk, you could just hear the truth pouring out of their mouth, and it was so upbuilding and wonderful to hear that. It used to be like that. You used to hear wonderful talks at the Watchtower, but you don't hear that anymore. And probably for the last 10, 15 years that I was in, and I've been out for about 2 or 3 years now, it's all damage control. That's all we ever heard. There was no really beautiful, wonderful spiritual talks to upbuild people. So that tells me one thing. They've lost the connection with their people. They've lost connection, you know, with each individual, you know, that is trying to build up their spirituality, trying to be a good Christian, and trying to live a life that's pleasing to God and to their neighbor. And yet that's not there anymore. That's long gone. And even if they ever had it. And my point is, you know, I'm looking on and listening to these, like your show, Six Screens and stuff like that. I feel more spiritually connected with that than I did for the last 10, 15 years of the Watchtower. And yeah, like I was saying, you know, the damage control, all the CSA and all that stuff, that's all they talk about, So that tells me there's no Holy Spirit or God's Spirit on that organization anymore. It's done. It's cooked. It's toasted. You know, it's finished. You know, they're on the last legs. If that's all they can talk about is damage control and, you know, and put down the apostate, you know, people that have, you know, I don't think, you know, apostate's a negative kind of a word, but you know what I think? I think it's a good word too. But that's how they view it, you know. But I think more of apostate is, hey, someone who woke up one day and started thinking critically and saying, you know what? This isn't real. There's no spirituality here. There's no truth here. There's nothing I can bank on here or take to the bank or, you know, or something that I can build my own spirituality up with. It's dead there. It's done. It's cooked.
Yeah.
Anyways, that's all I wanted to say. And I got that, Rick, from just watching a few of these reels of, you know, these ex-journalists and stuff like that, you know, how they, you know, they say, you know, well, we couldn't say these things. We couldn't say, you know, all these things while we were a journalist. But then, you know, they left the journalism business, and now they're putting these reels on YouTube and Facebook and wherever. I don't go on any of the other ones, and I saw them, and these men are speaking truth, and it was really refreshing to hear. That's my point anyways.
Wow, that's a good point. My goodness, I'm so glad you called in. I get excited when I see that Saskatchewan, Canada. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Rick. Lovely show. Keep up the good work. I'm really proud of you. Thank you.
Well, thank you. Well, yeah, we all did more research. We all know that. I mean, you guys, if you go back a little bit, didn't you research and study a lot? Do the witnesses do that now? I don't believe they do. I also would say, you know, I don't want to sound like an old dinosaur here, but when you go back, you know, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, it was a close-knit group. You felt like you belonged. In fact, I'm thinking that was one of the glue that held the Watchtower together. You know, if people can feel like they belong, when you went to a convention, you know, you put your suit on, you put your tie on, the women wore a nice dress. Man, we were different than the world. We were different than the world. We looked good. We belonged to something. And that was part of the glue, too. That was one of the touchstones the Watchtower would use to get you to feel like, wow, we are a close-knit society. Ken from the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, what do you have to say?
Yes, Mr. Farron.
Yes.
Okay, good evening to you there, and I've been listening to the show with interest, as I always do, and so forth. And I'm glad to see that it's changing for the better, at least for us over here. Because if you look across the news right now, or the Wi-Fi or the internet and so forth, you're going to find, number one, all kinds of stories about people that's breaking away from the Watchtower Society. And also, given their documentaries and everything like that, you're going to find, if you look worldwide too, that the scene, that some of these other cults, besides Jehovah's Witnesses, are falling apart and so forth. They're getting to be more violent. Like there was an incident in the Micah Miller case in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, there, and so forth. And I'm not going to discuss it because it's kind of graphic. And then in Four Corners, Oklahoma, there was a couple of people who was murdered, as there was in one person they suspect murdered in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, in the name of religion. And all of them were mind control cults and so forth, but now they're being broken up and so forth. And you know, the thing is about in Oklahoma there, those people were political activists. And so I guess they're not going to be political activists anymore and all that. They're going to be doing time in jail. They're not going to be able to vote in the next election, that's for sure, or any other election for a while if they're convicted. So in the name of religion, it's getting more violent. The Watchtower Society tried to get tougher and tougher as time went on, and so they're falling apart too because of their, stupidity and total and absolute insanity in terms of their religious doctrine. So, well, here's going to be the end result, and I've said it, and other people have too, and that Watchtower Society is going to fall. It's not a matter of if. It's just going to be when and so forth, that they're going to be going into oblivion.
Well, I like the way you sound, Ken. I like the way you sound. You echo my sentiment. Thank you very much, Ken, for chiming in tonight. Appreciate it. Thank you. All right.
Okay, thank you, and you have a good evening, and we'll keep listening.
Well, we are talking here tonight. We got a lot of things to talk about, but I just wanted to kind of vent a little bit. This is not the same organization that it used to be. This is not your grandfather's organization anymore. Do you remember older Watchtower magazines? I'm just 10, 12, 15 years ago. At least they seemed to do a little research. They seem to bring in scientists, or commentators, or theologians, or someone, and they seem to at least researched what they put in the magazines. That doesn't seem to be the case now. Everything seems to be dumbed down, really dumbed down. Back in the 80s and 90s, the Watchtower, even back then, the Watchtower publication was so much better. I mean, we all know that. But let's just even talk about their restrictiveness. Were they as strict back then in the 1980s and 90s? Yeah, they were super restrictive. And even at times unreasonable with a lot of things they would want the rank and file to do. But they were clearly defined. I want to just stay on the subject for a minute because this is important. The rules that they have today are not clearly defined. We had rules that were clearly defined back in the 80s and 90s. We know exactly what Mother Watchtower wanted from us. We know exactly what they wanted. Today, it's not the case. Everything is wishy-washy because they want to give the appearance of freedom of conscience, but clearly are instructing elders to keep the status quo. So just stop right there for a second. They're very wishy-washy. See, what they're trying to do is move so many of these rules that have been hard, fast rules into a freedom of conscience mode. Well, you let your conscience be a guide. They're getting away from a lot of this, but clearly, even though they're saying that, the elders are still keeping a close watch on you. This is an amazing organization, how they pull things off. But friends, it's not for long. It's not. The internet and the social media, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, They have revealed things about this religion that were much easier to keep under wraps in the bygone days, including criticism by former Jehovah's Witnesses. That right there is a statement and a half, right? They were able to keep it under wraps, including criticism by former Jehovah's Witnesses. They cannot stop it now. Red Bank, New Jersey, you're on with us. What do you have to say?
Hello.
Yes, hello.
Hey, how you doing? It's Kim from New Jersey.
Yes, Ken. Yes.
I'm gonna be brief. I have a couple questions. My first question I have is the book that Barbara Anderson wrote. What's the title of it? I'd like to get it.
Well, the book is not written. The book that Barbara Anderson, she's writing it. She's in the process of writing it. Maybe it'll never.
I thought it was finished.
No, maybe it will never be finished. But that's one of the reasons why she's coming on the Six Screens Telenetwork. She's coming on because it's a lot of work writing a book, Kim.
I know.
A lot of work writing a book. So she feels that
I know.
she's getting older. I'm not going to say how old she is, but she's getting older, and she feels maybe she'll never be able to complete the book, but she wants to tell as much of her story on the Six Screens. Isn't that a wonderful thing?
Oh, okay. I understand. Okay, and the second one is the one somebody came in a few minutes ago talking about the Book of Revelation. I absolutely love the Book of Revelation. I mean, if she wants to talk to me about it, because I don't understand everything about the Book of Revelation, but I know it's a book that I really, 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 really love. So if she wants to contact me and we can go over, a few questions about it, I would love to.
Well, yeah. Well, that's good to know. That's Pixie. She likes Revelations too. They how much that's Pixie. That's the lady's name that comes on here. Yeah, and talks.
You can give her my number.
All right. Yeah, and I will. Yeah, in fact, I will. I'll give Pixie the number.
You have my number, right?
Oh yeah, I got your number. Yeah, I got your number. Yep.
Okay. Well, give her my number and tell her if she wants to. I would love to discuss the Book of Revelation with her.
Well, I know.
I haven't done a study in Revelation for a while.
When we were Jehovah's Witnesses, do you remember how many times we studied the Revelation book?
I know. I remember.
We studied it 5 times.
You don't get everything,
Now, what do you like? Well,
I only studied it 2 times with the witnesses.
Well, it's actually 5 times we studied it. But let me ask you this, Kim. Well, what do you like? I mean, what do you like about the Book of Revelation? What do you like about it?
Well, it's very symbolic. It's very symbolic, and some people take things literally, and some don't. And we know that some people understand it some ways, and others understand it some other ways, or translate it, in their own ways. So I don't really blame anyone. Like, for example, the 144,000, some say it's symbolic, it's not literal. And some say it's literal, and some say the Bible's talking about they are virgins, and some say they're not literal virgins, so it's different, and, it talks about, the, how do you call it? The other thing, the years of our tribulations and stuff. Some say,
Well, let me ask you, Kim. Now, you seem to be a pretty astute Bible student. Do you think we're in the last days, Kim? You think the Watchtower was right?
I think so. We might be in the last days. However, I think I also believe in the rapture, and I believe that the rapture we might have some say the rapture is very, very near, which nobody knows for sure. So I think we might have a couple of more generations till the rapture. That's just me personally, but who? I hope it comes tonight.
Well, let me tell you.
I don't want to be here anymore.
Well, I'll tell you what. I mean, I talk to my wife about this every day, Kim. The world we live in. Look at it. It's just not it's bad, but it's not that bad. I mean, it's bad, but there's always going to be some bad things. But we also have a lot of good things in the world today too, right? We have good medicine. We have good medicine. We have nice cars for the most part to drive. We have air conditioning, washing machines. It's easier than it was, say, 100 years ago, right? But still, there's an element of uneasiness. A lot of people feel uneasy, Kim. They really, really do. They don't.
I know.
They don't
I
feel
know.
totally secure. But the kingdom would be a nice place. We'll look forward to the kingdom. Well, thank you.
It is. And you know, I hope I get to live to see the witnesses allow people to celebrate birthdays. I know it's going to happen someday.
Well,
Believe me. I know someday they will allow birthday celebrations and stuff like that.
Well,
and I hope I live to see it.
Well, I'll tell you, you're a fine young lady, and you just keep staying Kim, okay? We love to hear from you. Thank you, Kim. All right, that's our good friend Kim down there in New Jersey. Yeah, wishy-washy. That's what I want to say about the Watchtower as of late. They are just wishy-washy on their stance on these changes. A lot of the witnesses don't know exactly what they even tried to say, but they're trying to do the best they can to please the governing body. But the internet, the social media, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, as we say, that's the game changer. That's the game changer. Many, many people are leaving because of that. And the Watchtower realizes it. And, you know, many, too, that I've been monitoring and watching on Reddit and JWN, these forums online, many witnesses, ex-witnesses that are kind of doubting the PMO, so to speak, they're thinking that there's more drastic changes that are coming. You know, weren't we always told that we were different, from the world? Because we are God's special chosen people for the most part. Weren't we told that? Yes, we were. So what happens is a lot of the witnesses really took this to heart, and it's very hard for them to really come to grips with everything that's happening now, all these rules changing. It's showing the rank and file that they are just man-made rules. Because why would God change his position on certain things? Really, this is just elementary. This is just like, it's a no-brainer, so to speak. Why would God all of a sudden change the fact that, well, you can have beards now, you don't have to report time now, the women can wear slacks now? I mean, wouldn't you say, well, I mean, why would God change his mind on this? It wasn't God changing his mind on this. It was man changing his mind on this. And why are they changing it? I mean, we talked numerous times on why they're changing it. It's for money. They have to attract more people. They are now televangelizers, and they have to get people attracted to their organization. They have more people going out the back door than coming in the front door. So they've got to get more people coming in. Do you know, I mean, I'm sure you do, but Russell, if he was around today, he would be disfellowshipped from the current organization. He would be known as an apostate. Even Rutherford and Noor, they wouldn't have accepted these recent changes either, and they probably would have been thrown out of the organization. And then it even brings up the subject of Tony Morris. Why do you think Tony Morris left? Did he realize that these changes were coming and he didn't want to agree with them? I mean, this is not, I'm not speaking out of place when I say this. That was a very strange way in which Morris left. So was he aware of these coming changes and said, no, that's enough. I've had enough. And so that's what I'm thinking. And, you know, I even have to think about a scripture here. I don't want to get too biblical on you guys tonight. I don't preach to you on Saturday night. You know that. But when I think about these changes and I think about how intrusive the governing body is, this is what I think of. Jesus, he condemned the Pharisees for doing the same thing in his day. I'm thinking of a scripture here that I like a lot. Matthew 23:4. I would like to bring this to the witnesses' attention. This is the governing body I'm talking about. They tie up heavily, cumbersome loads and put them on other people's shoulders. Well, who does that? The governing body does that. But they themselves are not willing to lift a finger or to move them. So they tell everybody else how to act, what to do, how to behave. But there's a scripture right there showing that this governing body, that's a farce. Those people are not God's people. We want to hear from 213. I think it's our good friend John. What do you have to say, John?
Hey, Rick, how you doing?
I'm good. I'm good.
Hey, Rick, the presiding overseer in my old hall, he's been kind of harassing me, trying to, he's been hunting me down, and I'm just kind of like, I'm just tired of going through all that. What advice do you have? He keeps calling me, and he's having some people call me up, and he got my address. They come over unannounced a couple of times, and I'm just tired. I'm just tired of, just being harassed. They will not leave you alone, I've been gone for so long, inactive for so long, but.
Well, let me ask you. Let me ask you this, John. Now, what do they think you are? Just inactive? Do they know that you're a full-blown apostate, or what?
Well, they just think I faded, and they, trying to, because I had, when COVID hit, I thought it was the Great Tribulation, so I ran back and had the elders study with me again, and so they know I'm baptized. And he called me the other day and said, we got your, because I moved to another city, and he said, we want to know what elders at your new hall, what's their names, and I kind of been stalling, so it's like they will not leave you alone, it's crazy, they want to know who the elders at the new city that I'm in. I mean, miles and miles away, but it's like just like a telephone thing. They want to know the name, the phone number, who's the presiding overseer, and what, the name of the congregation, and I'm just ready to just tell them this is go fly a kite and leave me alone.
Well, that's what you did. Well, that's what you would feel like. Now, you still have family members that do not know you've disconnected?
Oh, they all shun me.
Oh, they do. I mean, so would it be problematic or somewhat difficult for you just to tell the elders, look, I don't want to be overly, irate about this whole thing, but I found out the Watchtower is not the truth. I mean, have you thought about even saying that right to them?
Yeah, but I don't want them to announce my name on the platform. That's what I'm afraid of. Even though my family don't speak to me because I was asking questions back in the day, and they feel I sounded like an apostate. But I don't want to give them that, that final thing where, John is no longer one of Jehovah's Witnesses. I don't want them to give them that satisfaction. But, they just keep like hunting me down and will not leave me alone. I don't know what else. They won't let you just fade away and just, they're gonna hunt you down some kind of way.
Well, let me just put it out let me put it out through the audience. Can anybody out there listening to this conversation here help John? Well, what would you say to John? What would you tell him to say to the elders if you were being hunted down, almost like being stalked, really? So what would you say? So we'll see what happens, John. You hang in here with us, and maybe we'll get some takers, okay?
Okay, thanks, Rick.
Yeah, go ahead. You're on with us. That's I believe that's Anne Marie. Go ahead, Anne Marie.
Hey, my brother John, you are way too nice. One thing about the organization is they make you feel like you have no right to stand up for yourself. This elder is so far up in your business, he's up your behind, you're wearing him with your pants. Don't let him get away with it. Tell him straight up, this is my life. You are stalking me. Seriously, he is stalking you. It doesn't matter where you stand. You don't have to say anything about the organization or what you believe. He has no business being up in your business like that. John, you are a grown man. Stand up for yourself and tell him where he can put his damn nose. Thank you.
Thanks, Anne-Marie.
Well, John, I mean, that was pretty. I mean, we've got a lot of people commenting here on YouTube. Tell them you're a witness for Jesus, and they will leave you alone. Yeah, they might not want to talk about real Christianity. Let's see what else. Block their numbers. Well, that's okay. Tell them, okay, let's block the numbers. Offer them a free Bible study. Yeah, would you guys like to come and study the Bible with me? I mean, these are kind of interesting thoughts. But John, I mean, it's a difficult thing. There's a lot of witnesses listening in right now. They're suffering from the same thing. These guys will, I mean, they really will cling to you. I mean, it's not a funny thing. It's not even easy to deal with. They will hang on to you to they're very desperate. They need more people. They don't want people leaving. They want people staying in. They want to stop the hemorrhage, John. But thank you, John, for coming on. We might get some more thoughts coming in. Thank you, John, very much. Yeah, thank you.
Thanks, Rick.
All right, yes. Well, let's see. You know, I want to talk a little bit more about yesteryear. I know right now the Watchtower is in a perpetual state of damage control. That is a fact. The Watchtower is really doing everything they can to keep their name with a little shiny image to it, but it is tarnished. They are in perpetual state of damage control. This is not even the same organization that it was a year ago. Never mind 10, 15, 20 years ago. This is not the same organization it was even a year ago. Really, when a lot of you people listening in, I have no idea how old you are. I know our demographics here, usually they're in the 50s and 60s, but I appreciate everybody that listens into the program. And I don't know how long everybody's been in. But do you remember the time when, at least being one of Jehovah's Witnesses, when you were a Jehovah's Witness, the congregation appeared as though it had class? Yeah, class. I thought at one time, yeah, my goodness gracious, the Jehovah's organization has class. I don't know if I could really say that today, seeing the governing body and them coming out on Watchtower broadcasting. No, I don't get it. They have no class anymore, especially with these new dress codes. Now everyone going to the Kingdom Hall, they look like they're attending a mega church. They got sneakers on. The women got pantsuits and sweatshirts on. The brothers have Hawaiian shirts on. They got beards. This is not, this is not like this elite. Look, I used to feel like a Navy SEAL at one time. I was glad. I mean, when I went out in service, I felt like, whoa, man, I got all the answers here. I mean, the Watchtower told us that, right? They said, when you go door to door, you know more than theologians. You know more than priests, pastors. You got Jehovah with you. Jehovah's working with you. Oh, that's foolish to think that way, but that's how they thought they had us all thinking. But now, that class is gone. We used to put a suit on. The women wear a nice dress. They go out in service. Man, we are Jehovah's Witnesses. We even have that song we sang, We're Jehovah's Witnesses. Didn't you like that? Didn't that give you goosebumps when you sang it? Well, they don't sing that song anymore. It's not even in the songbook. No wonder why it's not. You don't have the same feeling. This organization really has run into serious problems. Serious problems. They don't have any class anymore. I think when someone wants to belong to something, it has to do with class. Well, would you want to belong to something that had no class? Well, that's why they're not really gaining many recruits these days. The Watchtower organization has no class. They used to have Bible talks. If someone came to the Watchtower years ago, they had their ears open. They were willing to listen to Bible talks that supposedly were based on the Bible. That's all up in smoke now. That's all up in smoke. That's not the way it is today. In fact, people used to love to come to the amazing conventions. Look at the Yankee Stadium in 1969. They had 120,000 people. The Polo Grounds in Yankee Stadium in 1958, they had 250,000 people. They used to have live dramas. They used to release several publications. Everything sounded very professional. It was done well. The talks were well written. And then now, when you go to a convention or assembly, it sounds like someone in elementary school wrote the talks. Yeah, it's something else. I mean, you guys, I think, can agree with me on this. It has changed. I don't want to in any way imply to you that I loved the Watchtower at one time. I never really loved it, but I have to tell you, I had a better liking to it back then than I do now. Everything today, and I've been doing this news now for a while, so I keep on track of it. Everything today is how to preach, how to act, how to obey, what to dress, how you can dress. I mean, this is nut stuff. This how could you really be happy belonging to an organization like that? They can't retain people. I mean, this is not just Rick Farron bloviating and sending information out across the internet. I'm going to give you some facts. The Jehovah's Witnesses cannot retain people. Pew Research, Pew, P-E-W, they review churches. They do surveys on churches. A recent survey showed that they are not keeping people who were born in. People are leaving. 1 in 3 will stay. That means 2 leave. They need young people to keep this organization alive, and it's not working. King of Dots, do you think it's working? What do you think?
What's working?
Well,
Can you give me?
do you think the Watchtower is gaining more people, or are they losing more people?
I think they're just fudging the numbers. Period. I mean, look, I followed the numbers closely. I mean, incredibly closely since I started coming in 1976, and the numbers never add up. They never will because they're fudging the numbers. Now, John, I wanted to address John. Now, what he needs to do is send a message loud and clear. Now, an elder who had a vendetta against me, he became the congregation overseer after I left the congregation. He came to my house one day. I was in my car with the window rolled down, not rolled down, but rolled up. It was winter. And I'm backing out of my driveway, and he's knocking on my window, knocking, keeping up in my car as I'm backing out. And I just waved to him and drive off. He never came back. He just died of Lou Gehrig's disease, as a matter of fact. I mean, a bunch of these elders I know, they've gotten their, reward in full. And it wasn't the new system, unfortunately. They dropped dead well ahead of time. Bladder cancer, Lou Gehrig's disease. I can't hardly keep track of all the diseases. They got pancreatic cancer, prostate cancer. 3 of them I know were completely paralyzed. One of them I visited him. I shook his little finger. That's the only thing you can move. And it's just pitiful. If this is how Jehovah rewards you, I mean, for all we know, Tony Morris is probably suffering from Lou Gehrig's disease, or something like that. That could be the reason why he's not there, But anyway, I lost my thought because, I'm just lost, period, man. I'm a lost soul, man.
Well, I don't look at you as a lost.
Watchtower numbers.
Yeah, in fact, I don't look at you.
About the Watchtower numbers.
Yeah, the Watchtower numbers.
They don't add up. They don't add up. They've never added up. And if you were to do a comprehensive study, I don't have my yearbooks, unfortunately, because I threw them all out. Tim Mikey have all the yearbooks. I envy them. In fact, I'm planning on breaking into their house soon to get all those yearbooks away from there, so I can tabulate the numbers. But as I mentioned earlier, apparently this is when they started a great crowd, because I knew an elder. Am I losing people? No. Someone was trying to call me. Anyway, in 1930, when they realized they were going over the number of the 144,000, because before the great crowd, they believed only everyone was anointed. And then suddenly, we're passing 144,000. What are we going to do? And they came up with the great crowd thing. And so people think there were a lot of numbers in Europe during Hitler. Probably not. They only passed 144,000 around 1930. So I doubt there were even more than 2,000 people in Germany. But they probably fudged the numbers. And see, when you have number fudging, like the government is, the federal government is doing, everybody's doing it. I mean, it's what a worldly practice is, and the Watchtower is a worldly practice. They fudge the numbers, and you're never going to get to the bottom of it. So I wouldn't trust any of their numbers.
Well, I agree.
And I just mention what I mentioned earlier about Brett Kavanaugh, the Supreme Court Associate Justice, where he said, let me quote it again, consistency builds respect. And I know Watchtower's listening to this, and they know you made a major mistake. You keep making it over and over again. You keep being inconsistent about your teachings, and you're not going to build any respect. Don't blame me. Look in the mirror and put that little gray millstone Bible around your darn neck and go out to the Pacific Ocean or the Atlantic Ocean or out to where Trump was today and jump in the ocean, because maybe then God will forgive you. Okay, I'm done now.
Right.
I think I'm done.
All right. Well, that's okay. That's fine. Well, thank you, King of Dots. Gee, it's always interesting to hear what you have to say. But, I'll tell you, these guys up in New York, Central State, New York, the governing body, I believe the officials and the governing body of the Watchtower, now listen closely to what I have to say here. I believe that they have spent over a century designing the Watchtower to look like it does today. They've spent talk after talk, Watchtower after Watchtower, drilling it into the witness minds that they can change whatever they want and just excuse it as new light. I know this has been going on for over a century. They can change any belief, anything that they said in the past, and just excuse it as new light. So it's convoluted and it doesn't really make sense. But people still buy in to this wacko religion. Now, let me just bring this up. I think this is important right now to mention this because it has to do with a Watchtower magazine. I'll give you the date. But do you remember now, this has been 3 times now. I've seen this in Watchtower publications since 2013. 3 times I have observed this in Watchtower publications. Now, back in 2013, the Watchtower, November 15th, page 20. This is what it said. At that time, the life-saving direction. Well, what time is that? The time is right now. At that time, the life-saving direction that we receive from Jehovah's organization may not appear practical from a human standpoint. All of us must be ready to obey any instructions we receive, whether these appear sound from a strategic or human standpoint or not. November 15, 2013, Watchtower, page 20. I've counted 3 or 2 more articles since then saying basically the same thing. So even though you're going to receive instructions from the governing body, obey them, even though they don't sound sensible from a human standpoint. That is what they're doing today. They pre-programmed people to, okay, well, we'll just listen to what the Watchtower has to say, and we'll just go along with it. That is just absolutely unbelievable. This cult is constantly changing to keep people from paying attention. That's a remarkable statement right there. This cult is constantly changing to keep people from paying attention. Friends, that's what mind control groups do. You can't keep it the same. People will lose interest. So you have to keep changing it so people will pay attention. Boy, I'll tell you, I'm just kind of reminiscing here on some of the things that took place years ago. Who would like to speak up? JP, you're on with us from California.
Hi, Rick.
Yes.
How you doing tonight?
Good, JP. Thank you.
I was just wanted to comment about, I think his name is John from New Jersey.
Yeah.
I would tell him, because I'm going through kind of the same thing now, and I've talked to you about this, and I haven't had the elders come by and speak to me yet, even though I've been expecting them. And me personally, I've been praying a lot about it for them not to come because I don't want to deal with them. So I don't know, maybe I prayed them away. But I would tell him to be prepared for what he's going to say next time they come into contact with him. So myself, I've decided that if I do want to take on the elders or do decide to speak to them, I already know what I want to talk about, and I'm going to control the conversation, and I know what I'm going to say. But if I don't want to speak to them, I already know what I'm going to say too. And what I'm going to tell them is kind of like, you have to, one thing is you can kind of talk to them in their own JW lingo. And this is like a word I use a lot too, is, but you could tell them if they stop by that they, just thank them for coming by and say that you appreciate them stopping by to check up on you, but you don't have any desire to speak to them at this time, and just leave it at that. They have no business to ask you anything else. And then you can also tell them that you will let them know if and when you would like to speak to them. And by doing that, you're taking the power away from them and you're putting it into your own hands, and you're telling them, like, look, I'll let you know if and when I'm ready to speak to you. That way, if he says, he doesn't desire to talk to him, at this time, and he leaves it at that, well, the others might say, well, we'll come back in 3 months and see if he's ready to talk. No. You tell them, you say, you know what, I'll let you know if and when I'm ready to talk to you. And I thank you again for coming by. Have a good day. And that's it. What do you think, Rick?
Well, I think that's pretty simple to be able to say something like that. And eventually, that's what has to be said. At some point, someone's going to stand up to it and speak the truth and say, hey, look at this. This is it. This is it. And more people are doing that, JP. I know they are. JP, you're a nice man. Don't you ever change, buddy. You're doing a fine job out there. And thank you for calling into the 6 Screens.
Thank you, Rick. Have a good night. Bye.
Oh. Let's go with, I think that's my wife, Susan. Go ahead, Susan.
Yeah, I was thinking about what they were, trying to help with John, and something just, hit me. Has John ever asked them, why are they coming by? What's their reason for stopping by? And maybe they don't even know why. Maybe that's just because they were told to. But, he could find out from them why they're coming by, and then he could explain that he appreciates them thinking about him, but he'll, when he's ready to come back to the Kingdom Hall, he'll come back. Right now, he's just not able to, for personal reasons.
Yeah, well, that's an interesting thought. Is John still on with us? John, are you still on listening to us? Come on in. We've got a number of comments that have been made that you might be able to ask. Well, thank you, Susan, for bringing that up. Let's go to 5-1.
I was just wondering.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was just wondering because we don't even know why they're calling. Why are they calling? They've never probably really told him. He's assuming that, you missed me at the hall or whatever, but maybe some family member said, would you call on him? Or it would be nice to know why they're coming by and then thank them and then just say, at a later time.
Well, Susan, I believe there's an ongoing effort right now by all of the witness organizations, specifically the elders, and they got to get people coming back. They know that they're hemorrhaging. They know they're losing people. They got to save people. So that's why they're probably even coming on to John. Thank you, Susan.
Hello.
Go ahead.
Hello.
Is that
Zachary?
Oh, Zachary. Yes, Zachary. Go ahead.
Hi. Okay. Hi. I like Susan's point, what she just said. And I think that that's the most important thing. Why are they trying to contact him? He said, I think he did say why they're trying to contact him. They want to contact him to find out what congregation he's going to. So it sounds like what they want to do is to send a letter of introduction to his new congregation. And it sounds like what he said about himself is he thought he had faded away. So he's trying to fade away. I think that he should try not to talk to the elders because of what he wants to do. He wants to fade away. He doesn't want to make a big point. He doesn't want them to read his name from the platform, he said. So this letter of introduction is what happens when it's still the same thing. It's what happens when a person leaves one congregation and goes to another congregation. In the olden days, it was a letter that went along with the person's congregation's publisher's record card. They would send it to the new congregation. So what should he do? I think he's doing the right thing by just avoiding them. They are trying to find him, and they may tire out. I think that some people lose touch by, going to one congregation and having the card sent there, and then they go to another congregation. If the card gets sent to a congregation, those new elders might not even care because they may not even know him. They may have no emotional attachment to getting back at him for something. So I think he's doing the right thing by keeping quiet, letting them wear themselves out trying to get in contact with them, because they want to send a letter of introduction to his new congregation. If he wants to make big points, then tell them, I want to do this. I don't like what the teachings are. If he wants to make those big points and doesn't mind his name being read out. But if he wants to just fade away, you do what you've been doing. Just stay quiet, avoid them. Don't make any statements when they see you. And the worst that can happen is that they get a new congregation's address and contact information. They send his information to that new congregation, and he still keeps fading away. And the new congregation wears out because he was never there. That's my take.
Well, no, that's a good take, Zach. I think that's what he's trying to do, pay it very cautiously. But no, that's good. No, I'm glad he has these. I'm glad he had these suggestions. John, if you're listening, if you want to come back on and see what you like, we'd love to hear from you. If you're still on here with us, we're not sure. Well, thank you, Zach, and thank you, Susan, and all those people that have called in and gave John some suggestions. That's what we try to do here at the Sixth Screen, try to help people. Anyways, let's take a look here. Let's go to 516 in New York. Go ahead, 516.
Yes. Hi, this is Jeffrey. Can you hear me?
Oh, this is our good friend Jeff.
Jeffrey here.
Yes, Jeffrey. Yes, good. Thank you for calling in, Jeff. I always love to hear from you.
I appreciate that. I listened to the Anderson, and I really enjoyed the elder that spoke. He made some interesting points on how people would be, I'd be counseling sisters and brothers. Oh, what am I doing? And regarding this thing with the elders, they wanted me at one point. They're confused with me because I don't give them any direct information anymore. And I realize they're not there to benefit me. They're there to benefit their pocketbooks at the end. And I saw what they did to me and other people. It's strange. The brothers, you tell someone that someone says to you, you lied about 1975, and the elder next to you know that's true, and he says, no, we never said that. How can you do that? I mean, that's okay. Is that theocratic argument?
Well, that's the way it works in the Watchtower, Jay. I get you. That's the way it works in the Watchtower. You don't have a position. I mean, that position is taken away from you. You can question the Watchtower, but don't question their answers.
Just coming from an elder on the street talking to an interested person who said, I liked you, except 75 came and went and never happened, and that's why I don't believe you. And then the elder comes in and says, oh, we never said that. I know what you're saying. They're going to say they never said it. Basically, it's a small rank and file made up a story, and that's why it happened. But that's not true, because when that happened in those days, my family this fellowship wanted to invite me to San Diego, and that was in 75, before 75, and they knew about it. But I don't know. I guess people, they don't look at Waco. They don't look at what I guess they don't realize they're in a cult. And when I was in there, I never thought I was in a cult. The more I get away from it, like you said, the more reasoning I get. Even some of your answers, Rick, are very hard for me to understand. Not hard for me, but it doesn't register because We didn't have critical thinking now. Now I have critical thinking, and I just wanted to thank you for being here. And Susan, I give her my best. I just think it's very difficult. You have to stay away completely, and that's what happened. I stay away completely, even if they wouldn't reach out once a year. Now they don't even bother to come. That's wonderful. They wanted me to go to some other nursing home. I said no. I'm happy what I got, and when I happened to listen to my voicemail, some other brother called. I got a feeling they separate the brothers. The elder asked me, "What brothers did you contact me?" From 1 to 5. So I told him, I think they must call each brother and say, "Don't talk to brother so and so." Is that possible?
Oh yeah, that's possible. Yeah, that's very possible, Jay. Yeah.
Don't tell them the truth. Like the other brother wanted to visit me, I gave him the wrong hospital with a message machine. So I see the whole thing is like a smear job. They're like KGB. They go around and it's them at the wrong information. Then when you say, "Well, would you be wrong?" "Oh no, we're never wrong." But you know what got me? I want to just say one thing. It got me was to see the insincerity of these elders, especially the young one who I liked a lot, who made a judgment. They can yell at you and scream at you in the hall, and they don't get the fellowship. They don't even get reprimanded. But the one that did it to me was he was what's the word, deleted. And I had to ask my dad. He said, "Do me a favor, don't talk to the elders so much. That's simple. Do not speak to them because they're not they're not there to help you." And when someone died in the hall, a young brother named Skippy was his black brother. I liked him a lot. He used to run around with the magazines. Really nice guy, brother. He died of a heart attack in the subway, and the elder told me, "Oh, did one of the elders die?" No. So they're only concerned in their own level, and that's the deal. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Well, no, don't be sorry, Jay. We're glad to have you on here with us. Thank you very much for the comments. My goodness gracious, we always love to hear from a good friend, Jay. Thank you, Jay. Keep up the good work. You're a good man, and we really love you. Thank you, Jay. All right.
That sorry was not. It's not. It was when they snap on. They charge their phone with my charger. I tell them it, and they still do it.
All right. Well, thank you, Jay. Thank you for coming on. I'm going to try to be in touch with you this week sometime. I'll give you a call.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
All right, let's go to. We got 864. 864. What do you have to say down in New York? Go ahead. I think maybe. Yeah.
This is not New York. This is South Carolina.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's something's mixed up on my screen here. But South Carolina, what do you have to say?
Hey, Rick. Yeah, you're doing a good job. You quoted something from the 2013 Watchtower. That would be the November 15th issue.
Right.
Where they made the statement at that time, life-saving direction that we receive from Jehovah's organization may not appear practical from a human standpoint. All must be ready to obey any instructions we may receive, whether they appear practical or they appear sound from a strategic or a human standpoint or not. Interesting that you would bring that up today, because they had a function in Greenville, South Carolina, Artist Fair, and I know the witnesses do the cart witnessing. So I went out there for the Artist Fair, but was prepared to ask some questions regarding that article, because there was another article that came out in the February 2017 issue of the Watchtower, and this is what it said. The governing body is neither inspired nor infallible. Therefore, it can err in doctrinal matters or in organizational direction. Now, I carried these magazines out there because I knew that there'd be some street witnesses out there. And I asked them, I want to know how do you explain this? And to make a long story short, I showed them the articles, but they shut down. they said, we're not here to debate. I said, I'm not looking for a debate. I just want an explanation. How do you understand this? It goes to show you how controlled they are by the organization, because they can't think for themselves. When you confront an opposing statement that the organization has said, they shut down and they want to walk away. Isn't that interesting?
It's very interesting, but that's what they do.
And so I was thinking about that because I was raised as a witness. I was a ministerial servant. And I had questioned them. I says, how can you, I'm asking for, how do you understand this? And they all, we walked away. We don't want, they put their nose, they turned their back against me to debate. I said, I'm not here to debate. I want an explanation. So what went through my mind in all of this is how the organization is doubling down to keep the members that they have, to keep whatever they have alive and well, because anyone in their right mind with the internet and information age that we live in can see that this is a cult. So what's your thoughts?
Well, I agree with you 100%. It is a cult. And, you know, you're probably wondering, well, why aren't people waking up? Why don't people see this? When you're talking mind control, that's a very interesting subject. I mean, that is what the Watchtower uses. People are under mind control. In fact, all of us were, including myself at one point. We were really connected to this organization. And when I look back at it, I say, how did that ever happen? What was the glue that did this? They are masters at it. They are masters at it. Yes.
Thank you. And I'm going to get off the line right now so other people can phone in. But you're all right. And so they know what they're doing. The articles are written in a strategic way to affect your mental thinking. The organization knows that. That's what they do. It's strategic. It's crafty. They do this at the meetings. That's how they keep indoctrinating the people that are going. And so this is a fact. They know what they're doing, and that's the bottom line. And I'm finished.
Well, this comes, thank you, brother, for bringing this all up. But this comes from years and years of study with the Watchtower. They know what they're doing. They are using tactics on how to control people. And this is very disturbing. So many people have been caught in the trap, but I'm glad you're out of it. Thank you for calling.
Thank you, brother. I'm off the line now. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's go to 720 Colorado, it looks like. But I think that's Dan and Angela. They're up in Idaho. Go ahead, Dan.
Hey, how you doing, Rick?
Yeah,
just listening in. Really good show. Yeah, I just wanted to say about what you were saying about the brilliance of these guys. I mean, you know, I think you had on your show last week that the circuit overseers, that the Kingdom Hall, the people in the Kingdom Hall are going to be paying for them, you know, for their stay, for their whatever, their expenses, whatever. And I just thought, my God, the witnesses are actually having to pay. Think about this. The governing body has convinced Jehovah's Witnesses to pay for their own salvation. I mean, they've got to pay for their Kingdom Halls that they don't own. They built them, and then they gave them the Watchtower, and now they're paying on them continually. They're paying for the circuit overseer visits. I mean, this is ridiculous. They're not getting paid anything to you know, manage the halls. And I just think, wow, that's pretty brilliant. But I'm going to say this too, Rick. I just think the people in there now are lazy brain people, and I don't think they stand for shit. I'm sorry. You can say brainwashing all you want. You can say this. I'm sorry, they're lazy. I met some witnesses the other day out in the cart. They're lazy. They're just standing around, standing with a cart, talking about how wonderful the organization is because they don't have to do shit. They don't have to read a Bible. You said something earlier. You said the organization was classy, and it was. We put on our suit coats. We knew what the hell we were talking about when we went to the door. We used our Bible. We knew how to reason from the scriptures. We knew how to, you know, negotiate. We knew how to handle ourselves. We were professionals. You know what I mean? And it was beautiful. And when we went to the organization, we stood for something. But like Jay said, you know, when you meet an elder now on the street and you talk about 75, he'll lie to your face. It was the same thing that happened when me and Angela went to the assembly. I asked the guy everything. I told him I used to be in here. Here's why I left. I left, you know, in the generation prophecy. And, you know, I talked about 75. He said, never happened. I don't know what you're talking about. Never happened. And I just think, Rick, the people in there don't stand for anything. I think the good people left. I'm going to say it. I don't care. You could say they're all brainwashed, you know, but I'm going to say the good people who stood for something, who stood for that Bible, who stood for the truth that we knew it as it was, that, you know, believed the prophecy in Matthew, this generation will by no means pass away until all these things occur, including the Great Tribulation. We knew what the hell we were talking about. We spoke with integrity. We looked in people's eyes. We spoke to their soul, and we brought them to the halls, and we created, you know, Jehovah's Witnesses. We helped build that. But I think it's weird, Rick, but the people in there now don't stand for nothing. There's nothing to them. It's like there's, I mean, Watchtower, I don't know, you call it brainwashing, I guess, but it's like they've erased their brain. And they're lying. They just will lie. They don't stand. It's like Jay said, you sit there and think, how can this elder lie to me? How can this elder say 75 never happened? How can he buy in? And the other thing is, they're rejoicing over all this. Hey, man, we don't have to hardly do anything. The meetings are shorter. Hey, we get to wear a beard. Hey, we get to do pants. Hey, we get to, it's kind of like children. Yeah, you know, it's like I told somebody the other day, you're 65 years old, and someone tells you can have a beard or wear pants. You people are older. You're not children. So it's amazing when you're outside. And another thing, Rick, I'll just say one more thing. It's weird to be outside. We haven't been to an assembly in years other than the one last year. And when we went back and we saw all the tablets, I about shit my pants. Angela said, Dan, you're the only one with a Bible, you know? And I'm like, I said, no, everybody in here has a Bible. I was so out of touch. And then I realized how successful the organization was, Rick. The organization is successful. They're getting away with it. They already have it transferred over to jw.org. They already got everybody on the internet. They all got everybody using the tablets. They had 70 or 80 videos they watched. You know, I mean, I was like, wow, phase one is done. Holy crap. They're an internet connection. And now phase two is shovel shit down their throat. Yeah, you know, beards, this, that, the other, Christmas songs. Let who's going to go away, go away. And I'm like, they're force re-engineering these guys. They're on phase two. Phase one is get rid of the kingdom halls. Now you just got to get rid of the old timers, get them out of the way. Throw Christmas at them, throw a Trinity at them. Say we believe in the Trinity. Throw a couple of these hardcore things that we used to defend at them, and I think the majority of them are going to go. But I'm just amazed, Rick. I'm amazed. It's almost like the author of the Watchtower, you know, like when Apple came out, when the guy died, Steve Jobs, I think, you know, Apple started going downhill. And it's like that in any type of corporation. When the founder leaves, it just sort of deteriorates. And anyway, we're just watching, like you said, Watchtower deteriorate, but it's so amazing to be away from it and then go back and see it again and say, oh my God, this is nothing like it was. It doesn't stand for anything. And like you said, most of the people in there, Rick, don't really know what they believe, and they don't know what's coming next. It's the craziest thing. You want to say anything, Angela?
I can't think of it.
Angela can't think of anything, but just wanted to put that out there, Rick.
Well, that's amazing. Angela can't think of something. She usually is right on the ball with this.
Hey, Rick. You always got a few words to say, you know?
Rick, it's Steve.
Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead, Steve. You're on with us. Yep.
You know, I don't quite understand when people say, you know, the organization had class before. This organization has always been a cult. They have, all their prophecies have failed. They've predicted the end 5 or 6 times. Nothing has ever come true. Because someone goes to this hall in a suit and tie or a nice dress for the sisters. It's always been a cult. 50 years ago, 60 years ago, 70 years ago, the cult has just evolved, developed new mind control techniques as the world has done. It's always been propaganda. You see back to Russell and Rutherford. I mean, they had Beth Serene. They were always milking the people. This organization never had class. They were always dishonest with people. They were always deceiving people. So I don't see why people reference what they were taught and what they could defend 50 years ago, whatever. They were defending and doing the bidding of a cult organization, no matter how much they thought they knew the Bible, because there isn't anything that they were ever taught, any of the books, the Revelation book, the Babylon, the Greatest Fallen book, All Things Which Is Impossible for God to Lie, the Truth book, all that was propaganda. So you could reference scriptures, big deal. They didn't mean anything.
Well, no, I got what you're saying, Steve. But I mean, you've been one of Jehovah's Witnesses, and I'm sure you were back, 10, 15, 20 years ago. But,
sure.
Didn't you enjoy, I mean, to some degree, didn't you feel like you were like an elitist that, wow, this is quite the organization. I'm glad to be proud of it. I mean, did you ever feel that way?
Yes, I did. Yes, I did. But that was under false pretenses. Because what I was proud of, I was taught or trained that I am an elitist. I am separate from the world. That's part of a teaching from a cult. That's how a cult maneuvers and manipulates people and their minds. You can't just say you're just like everybody else. You have to make them clearly think and feel that they are separate and above other people. And that's part of a cult teaching where it's us against them. So you have to create that atmosphere and that mindset.
Well, right. I mean, a lot of us witnesses had that mindset. I mean, I had it myself. I mean, I was, in fact, at one time I felt like a Navy SEAL, really, being one of the Jehovah's Witnesses.
I mean,
that this is above and beyond.
Absolutely true, but it's a false mindset. It's a false sense of security, because the information and the knowledge that you thought you had was just pretend. It didn't exist. What can any of us draw back on today? All religions teach you, any Christian religion, don't steal, be kind to your neighbors, don't commit adultery, don't commit fornication, help your neighbor. They all teach that. So what were the elite teachings that we felt that we have?
Well, Steve, I mean, the thing was, I mean, you were a witness for many years, I think, too. But we went door to door, and we felt that we knew more about the scriptures than anybody else. And we had this elite attitude, and, we all dressed up, to see people walking down the sidewalk with a suit on, a tie, the women with a nice dress, and they looked good. Their hair was done up nice. They had makeup on. They didn't look like a bunch of frumpy old women. I mean, this connected with people. I mean, it was classy. In my estimation, it was classy,
Right. It was. It had a different era, but the core beliefs, the core teachings was still that of a cult. So as today, I personally look back at those times and say, well, I was fooled back then. I was out buying suits all the time, out buying clothes, dressing up, going to the meetings, but that was all for a cult. There was no real meat there. There was nothing to that at all. There's nothing that we took away from that.
Well, I agree. I agree with you 100%, Steve. As we look back now, no, it wasn't classy, but we all thought it was to some degree. Steve, I'm so glad.
You know what it was, Greg?
Go ahead.
I agree.
Yeah.
It was a grand illusion. It was a grand illusion. And I enjoyed the illusion while I was in it. I did. And I enjoyed the camaraderie and the brothers and the assemblies. And, it was a grand illusion. But what was interesting, and I want to say this too, is when I got out, I was so glad to be out. And I thought, oh my God, and I lost my family. And when I met Angela's family, I said, oh my God, I got 9 sisters now. I got 9 brothers. I got all these people. And when I went to them, Rick, they were in as big as illusion as I was. They were into holy days and Sabbaths and new moons. And his mother looked at me and says, I'll never accept that man right there. Me. And then her father said, Angela's never coming home. She's going to stay here. She's going to be a Seventh-day Adventist with me. And you're goodbye. I have had, there's been nothing but illusion. Politics is a freaking illusion. All of it's an illusion, left and right. And so I guess we got to kind of get loose to the illusion. I thought once I got out of the matrix that I was going to be free, but I just found out there was a million more matrix to enter into. But anyway, I enjoyed the illusion, but I agree with this guy. He's right. It was a cult, you know, but I did enjoy it while I did. And when I stood up for truth at another level and saw the falsity, I said no. And so that's about the best you can do. And I've had to do that many times since I got out of the witnesses. Anyway, that's it, Rick. Thank you. Thank you, guys.
And I agree with what you're saying. And I mean, back in the early days, I remember going to meetings, and yes, you had that warm, fuzzy feeling. The system is going to end, and you're here with your brothers and sisters, and you have that. And I mean, it's you know, like a Stockholm syndrome, or you know, you feel for your captors, but you know, you don't know they're your captors, but they are, and you side with them, and you take on their beliefs, and you're their support system. But once you step back, it's like you have a controlled mind, a programmed mind, and then once you leave and you understand, then you now have an unprogrammed mind and you look at things differently. But I see and I understand why I thought what I thought at the time, and I believed it, and now I clearly see, you know, that it's a cult. But I do understand why I did what I did. I understand why I felt the way I felt. But you know, once you get the truth of the truth, you know, that deception out of the way, then you look at things differently from a different light. And yeah, I mean, I supported the organization. I had that warm feeling. It was a cozy feeling. But after a while, once you leave and you understand, you see how they just took advantage of you.
Christendom.
Well, thank you, Steve. Always good to hear from you. I really appreciate you chiming in here. Let's go to Jay once again in New York City. Jay, go ahead. You're on with us.
I just want to agree with the last brother with Zach. I like the idea that of the programming, and I just believe that. How do you feel when you're out, when you don't have the Wizard of Oz with you anymore? When you're not in the cult, I'm not in it. I don't have the wizard, but I tell you, when I was in that assembly hall for those quarterly meetings or whatever, I felt like the Wizard of Oz was behind the curtain, pulling the strings. And then one brother says to me, I had a walker then in the assembly hall. He said to me, "You are the pillar that holds up the king congregation." That gave me the self-esteem like 100,000 times. I said, "Wow, this brother sees me as a pillar of the whole congregation. That's terrific." You know, and I still look for him years later. Those kind of. And then the brother says to me, "You know, brother Jay, you don't ever have to repair your computer. Just give it to us. We'll do it for free in Bethel." They would. They repaired up in Bethel when it was in Brooklyn or whatever, in Brooklyn. But the thing is, how does one deal with not being in a cult? Does he watch TV all day long? No. Yeah, I researched and I studied 10 hours, honestly, Rick, to make a 10-minute talk with David and Absalom. I remember when I was younger. I studied and I studied and I studied. I was an honor student in high school, and I made this with my heart. I get everything. I didn't realize that they don't have the same agenda, and you don't know what the beginning is when you're in what the ending is. When you're involved in it, you're blinded. You're blinded by, like Rick was saying, and that's they've been programmed for hundreds of years. I mean, almost 100 years. How to just make people not disagree. You can't. I don't call those elders that call on you to be return visit. I call them cult stabilizers. They want to stabilize the cult people that maybe need a little more cult data. And I mean that it's a very tricky thing. You're not going to get love bombed in the world, Maybe with a nice woman that you fall in love with. But in a group setting, no way. It's the only group that will do it. And I didn't even know it was being done to you. How do you like that one? Thank you so much, guys.
Well, thank you, Jay, for coming on. Let's go to Pixie down there in Virginia, 540. You're on with us, Pixie. Go ahead.
Well, they did teach us public speaking, and they did teach us to dress for business. Those are two skills that you can take with you into the business world and into the bigger world. And as the gentleman just noted, some of those early talks before the outlines were just beautiful, and the brothers had to really research on their own in the years before the outlines. And the other gentleman noted that it is a cult. Yes, I'm not denying that. But you mentioned the Pew Research, the statistics they have. Factor in that the witnesses are the least wage-earning people in the country. They make less than the Pentecostals, and they're less educated than the Pentecostals. So they are on the bottom of the chart with the Hindus and the Episcopals toward the top in terms of formal education and earning power.
Well, you're absolutely right with that, Pixie. I saw that chart. And yeah, the Watchtower organization, Jehovah's Witnesses, they're on the bottom. And then that's nothing to be proud about. That's nothing. Does the Watchtower realize the hurt, the financial frustration that they're putting on the witnesses? Yes, I hope they would, but I don't think they are. The poor
Well,
witnesses.
I think they've got a lot of sad people that are never going to be educated, and it's no wonder they're losing the membership. And what's really sad is for years they said, oh, well, you know, the Catholic Church or the Protestant Church, they're frightening people with hell. As Dan Clark mentioned some weeks ago, the Watchtower is telling people, we are dispensing salvation to you. You won't get an afterlife if you don't do X, Y, and Z what we say. And that's extortion. That's bullying. Only Jesus can dispense salvation if you follow the Christian teachings. If you're a Buddhist, I guess you go with that. But these are men trying to dispense salvation to people that are too uneducated to see the trickery being played on them. And I was a true believer, as you were, Rick. I loved it as a kid. I felt like it was a little bit elite. I felt like I was the royal, the royal priesthood of princes and all that stuff. So we've all been betrayed and hoodwinked. It's normal to feel sad about it. It's normal to feel angry about it. And it takes a lifetime to get over some of this stuff. Even if we do the therapy and we do the journal and we come here to talk about it and we share notes and we have emotions, some of this stuff is ingrained in us, and we have to look every week or so and say, well, is that how it really is, or is that my witness icing? So that's how I feel about that. But I thank them for knowing how to dress for business, and I thank them for public speaking.
Well, there you go. There's some good points about it as well. Thank you, Pixie. Well, I'd like to go on. We got more news articles, but we won't discuss it now. We'll have to save it for next week. But anyways, I want to thank all those people that called in. But before we leave, we talk about the duck. Nobody got the duck. Nobody got the secret words tonight. So what we're going to do, listen, I have a PDF file of the 1934 yearbook. Now, this is where Hitler was coming down hard on the Jehovah's Witnesses. But Judge Rutherford kind of cozied up to Hitler and made it possible so that it almost sounded like he was in unison with Hitler's idea of, exterminating the Jews. But we'll see how that all plays out. Before we move to that, though, let's just bring a few more people on here. 201. Did you want to come on, 201? Go ahead.
Hello.
Yes, go ahead.
Yes, my Jeff, and I was disfellowshipped in 19 either 1968 or 69.
Yeah.
And I just kind of stumbled upon your podcast by accident. And as a former Jehovah's Witness, I just can't believe some of the things that I'm hearing. I never thought that I would hear the kind of things that I'm hearing about that organization. And it's kind of sad in a way. You know, even though I was disfellowshipped, I really did not have any hard feelings about them. I was a teenager. I was becoming very sexual, and, you know, they always got rid of teenagers when they committed sexual immorality. But I remember going to the first International Assembly of Jehovah's Witnesses in 1958. We had people come stay to our house from Europe, from Czechoslovakia, and from France. And it was one of the most beautiful experiences that I had ever had. They stayed with us for 8 days. And I developed a lot of really wonderful relationship with the friends. Some of the people became very fast friends, and we were living in New Jersey, and my family moved to New York State, and so we lost contact with all of them. So it was a period of about 10 years that I was one of Jehovah's Witnesses. But after I got disfellowship, I went back briefly for a very short period of time, but I just decided that it wasn't for me. But hearing all these negative things about Jehovah's Witnesses, for me, is a little sad, because it's like hearing about an old friend that used to be a good guy, and now it's reported that he's not behaving himself very well. You know? But yes.
Well, that's a good illustration. That's a good illustration, and I can understand the way that you would feel. It's very disappointing, very disappointing. Yeah. But at the same time, what do you do when something, you know, a scam artist, you know, we see scammers online. They seem very good. Oh, they're wonderful. They treat you good. But then you find out, you go, what's going on here? That's how you probably feel.
Well, from my point of view, I didn't mean to cut you off. I'm sorry. From my point of view, they are what I was very proud of about them is that they weren't like everybody else. But now, from what I'm hearing, it seems like they are like it. Like, in terms of what I'm hearing, what makes them any different than the Catholic Church? The Catholic Church has had issues with molestation of young boys and so forth for a very long time. So now, in terms of what I'm hearing, they're no different than anybody else. And that's what's sad, because I always thought that they were the truest form of Christianity on the planet. And if that's what you are, you're not going to be like everybody else. You're going to be different, because I mean, I don't have to give you a lecture about Christendom. You know, we know what Christendom is all about. But if you're a true form of Christianity, you're not supposed to be like Christendom. I mean, unless I misunderstand it, unless I haven't got it right. I haven't been connected with that sort of thing in so many years. I'm 72 years old now. But yeah, I think, I mean, don't let me do all the talking, jump in anywhere.
Well, no, I appreciate you calling in, brother. That's the first time you called into Six Screens. We appreciate that. So where were you from?
Well, I'm from New Jersey, but I've been around a little bit. We started out in Newark, New Jersey, and then East Orange, and then upstate New York, Ithaca, New York. And now I'm retired, and I'm living in Easton, Pennsylvania. So I've kind of been around a lot, you know. But I have a lot of fond memories of the friends. You know, that's the thing that stays with me. And in terms of what I'm hearing, I just come to the conclusion that Jehovah's Witnesses are people too, and they just make mistakes like everybody else. And you know, I find it very difficult to hold that against them, because now they're no different than anybody else. you know?
Well, what you want to do, what you want to do is keep listening to the six screens, and not trying to beat these guys to death. But I mean, they're involved in so many things that are really borderline criminal. I mean, they've been hiding child molestation. Many little children that get molested because of creeps. The elders don't report them to the police. So that's why we do the program here. But I thank you. Yeah.
It doesn't seem like they're any different than the Catholic Church then, because the Catholic Church has been accused of doing the same thing.
Well, yeah, the Catholic Church has been accused of that, but the Catholic Church doesn't proclaim that they're the only true religion. That the Catholic Church doesn't proclaim that the only organization that God approves of. The witnesses have done that, and yet they have all this child molestation going on. I mean, that's a lie. Well, thank you, brother. Thank you, brother. I wish we had more time to talk with you.
Rick.
Don't you be a stranger.
One comment.
Oh, hold on one second. Okay, go ahead. Go ahead, Jay. We got. Go ahead.
Yeah, one thing the Catholic Church, Catholic commit, they should, I mean,
we're having
and
trouble.
they deny completely. The Catholic Church admits it and will pay them off.
Yeah.
I just thought I'd throw that in for the new brother Jeff from New Jersey. I'm Jeff from New York.
Good. Well, thank you, Jeff. Let's go to 720. I think that's Dan again. Go ahead, Dan.
Yeah, Rick, I just wanted to say sometimes a good prescription for people who've been out of touch for a while is to go back to the assembly. Like that guy was just on. Go back and see that nobody has a Bible. You'll freak out. Go look at that. There's 80 videos playing instead of brothers speaking. Go look at the fact that the whole drama was fear. The last part of the drama was leave all your shit behind, and flee into the wilderness. There's not even a paradise message anymore. Stay here till further notice. It's totally changed. It's no different. And so, I agree with them. We have those fond memories. But it is a shock what's going on. It's a shock when you see a man at an Australian commission lying his ass off for Jehovah and saying, we don't make brothers sit in the back of the hall. They can roam around. We don't tell them to not talk with their family. And to watch them lie, to watch them beg for money, tithe, automatic tithe, ask for your 401ks, ask for, it's a totally different organization. But it would be interesting for that brother to go back and actually go into a Kingdom Hall and, of course, hit the buzzer to get in, be locked in when you're in there and see how the whole dynamic has changed. Watch when a fire drill goes off and he goes, what the hell's a fire drill? What's that for? Oh, you don't have your to-go bag? Oh, we got to run out the back door. We're doing a fire drill. And watch the lady next to you having a heart attack because she don't know what's going on. I just had a lady tell me that her mother had a heart attack, almost died because they set the alarms off and they said, we got to have our to-go bag, which is in harmony with the assembly drama, which was a motion picture on leaving everything behind and your house is going to be burnt down anyway. Leave your belongings. So there's a massive agenda going on in Watchtower that is totally different from when we were in there. And I'll tell you, I was surprised myself when I went back and I saw that drama last year and I saw that assembly. I was shocked. I was literally shocked that no one had a Bible, and that everybody was glued to these tablets. It was like just glowing faces down aisles. I took pictures and I was like, what is this thing anymore? It didn't even seem real. But anyway, that's it, Rick. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Dan. Always good to hear from you. My goodness gracious, you had a lot to the program. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Rick.
Okay, so what we're going to do here now, let's go to the duck. Nobody said the secret word tonight, so I'm going to give some clues. If y'all listening in tonight on our networks, we want you to speak up and talk. You see the telephone number on YouTube. So by all means, let's speak up and talk. We want to give some prizes away. I have the 1934 yearbook by Jehovah's Witnesses in PDF file. The information that's needed showing how Rutherford cozied up to Hitler. I think you'll find it very fascinating. I'd like to send it to you, a PDF file. So let's go with this. We had a number of secret words tonight. Nobody said it. Now, if someone did say it, write me and tell me. But I've been trying to listen and run the broadcast here as well, but I did not hear it. So let's go with let's go with some clues here and see if you guys can't you can't come on and say now. If you want to call in, you see the number on YouTube. You see the number on various Facebook pages and what have you. So let's go with this. Let's go with this. Here's a clue. Here is a clue for tonight. The first one to answer will get a prize. We call this Bible a color. What color was it?
Silver sword.
The silver sword. Who's this?
Nadine.
Nadine. Now you reading my notes or what? You were getting too smart with this. Okay. So it's a silver sword, Nadine. Thank you. All right. So let's go with another thing here. Let's go with okay. Nobody knows the day or the hour. Nobody knows the day or the hour.
Of Armageddon.
It's Armageddon. Is that you again, Nadine?
Yeah.
Holy mackerel, Nadine! I don't know what to say to you. You are just an astute woman. It is Armageddon, right? All right, let's go with this. All right, let's go with this. At times, the elders would get upset because it wasn't clean. At times, the elders would get upset because it wasn't clean.
Your conduct or the Kingdom Hall?
No. Mine was brown. Some were black.
Book bag.
Dick, you got it. Book bag. You got it, Dick. All right. It was a book bag. Yes. All right. So that was good, Dick. You got that. All right. So let's go with another one here. All right, Dick, you're good at this. Nadine and Dick are the champions here. So let's go to this one. Well, publications in the Watchtower. You could not be asleep reading this one.
The Awake.
The Awake, yes. It's. I tell you, I'm gonna have to make some of these clues a lot harder. So I'm gonna try that. I'm gonna try to make them somewhat harder because you guys are too good at this. Okay, let's go with this. Another one here. So Nadine, you get two. Well, you got to get that PDF file. I think I already sent that to you. I'm not sure, but a PDF file of the 1934 yearbook. So let's go with another one here. Let's go with this. There are many Bibles. Some are better than others. No takers on that one. Okay. The Watchtower says that their Bible is the best.
New World Translation.
Who said that?
Thomas Hodgson here.
Is it? Okay, Thomas. Well, I got some more books coming, so I'll send you that PDF file. Just send me an email, okay? Okay.
Okay.
All right, good. All right, so let's go with another one here. Well, I think we got it all. I think we named them all tonight. Well, thank you all for participating in the Duck Comes Down. Nobody got it. I can't believe it. People like this program with the duck coming down and giving you the prize. But anyways, those prizes will be sent out. Send me the information at JW World News. Let me know that you you answered the prize tonight. You answered the question. I'll send you the prize. Thank you very much. Okay, so let's take a look. Let's see what's going on here behind the curtains of the Watchtower. We have got Eric coming up. He's coming up from Nashville, Tennessee. Let me just get in there and check Eric out. I think he's on with us. Yeah, Eric, stay with us. We'll be coming on very shortly. Friends, we're going to end the program right here. We've got Eric coming up next from Nashville, Tennessee. He's a former Jehovah's Witness, and he is going to help you get through all of this information that is coming forth from the Watchtower, all the craziness. So Eric's coming up next. Stay with us. Friends, I want to thank you all for coming on tonight. I want to thank you all for participating, those that called in, those that wrote on YouTube and Facebook, those that have been part of the program tonight. Thank you very much for being with us. We're going to go to Eric, and I want you to all understand one thing. Don't you guys ever give in, up or out. You're making a difference. You're all making a difference when it comes to exposing the Watchtower. These guys are going down. They are hemorrhaging. And it's because of you folks calling in and voicing your concerns. Thank you for calling in tonight. And I have to say, the last one, leaving the Watchtower, please turn off the new light. We're going to end this right here, right now. Eric's coming up next, right here on the 6 Screens Tele Network. Let's end this stream right now.